You know the feeling, right? It's late at night, you're scrolling online, and you stumble across those true scary stories. But have you ever really stopped to ask yourself, what is it about them that works so well? Well, tonight, we're going to go way beyond the jump scares. We're going to dive into the psychology of what makes these stories so incredibly good at getting under our skin. We'll break down the four main fears they prey on. Ready? Let's get into it.
So often, it just comes down to one single line, one sentence that takes that slow burning dread and turns it into pure instant horror. Just picture this. You're a teenager, you're walking home, and you have that awful paranoid feeling that someone's following you. So you call your girlfriend, just to feel a little safer. You finally get to her house, you're relieved. And then she asks you that. And in that one moment, your worst fear is confirmed. The monster is real. And that feeling of being watched, of being followed, it taps into one of the oldest, most primal fears we have as humans, the fear of being hunted. I mean, this is hardwired into our DNA, right? It's a leftover survival instinct from a time when we were literally on the menu. It's that horrible realization that you're not in control anymore. You're not the hunter, you're the prey.
And a lot of these stories, they follow this classic, terrifying pattern. It's a formula. First, you hear something you can't explain. A twig snaps, a bush rustles. Then you see something, just a quick glimpse. Or, like in the story of the grandfather walking his dog, you see the stranger you just passed is now hiding behind a tree. And then it all clicks into place with that terrifying realization you're not alone. You are being stalked.
Really, it all boils down to this, doesn't it? That universal gut-twisting feeling of being watched. It's a sensation that can take a street you've walked down 1,000 times and instantly turn it into the most dangerous place on earth. All it takes is that one little shift in your perception.
But you know, it gets worse. The fear isn't just about being watched. The stories that really truly stick with us are the ones where that creepy feeling escalates into a physical attack. The stalker didn't just watch the grandfather from the woods, he came after him. And this is what confirms the victim's worst fear, that their paranoia wasn't paranoia at all. It was their brain screaming at them to survive.
Okay, so that's the fear of being hunted out in the open. But what happens when you finally make it home? What happens when that threat comes knocking on your front door? Well, that brings us to our next theme, the horror of the threshold. This is when our safest spaces are violated, and that feeling of security just completely shatters. The main weapon here is deception. They're playing on our desire to be good people. The guy in the storm saying he's hurt? No, he's trying to get inside your house with an axe. The skier who seems friendly and asks for directions, he's already attacked your friend. That cab driver offering you a safe ride home, he's a serial rapist. These predators use our own kindness against us.
And what's so powerful about these tales is they're almost like a training manual for what to watch out for. You know, the men in the van offering free samples out in the middle of nowhere. Or the guy who follows a woman from a bar and gets way too close, touching her hair. These are the very real warning signs that our instincts are built to pick up on.
So we've moved from the street to the front door, but now we go a level deeper. What happens when the monster isn't trying to get in? What if it's already inside with you? This is the fear of the unspeakable discovery, that sudden chilling shock when you realize you've just walked right into a nightmare.
I mean, let me just ask you this. What happens when a place holds a secret you can't even imagine? Think about the person who went to buy a ping pong table off Craigslist. The seller tells him to wait in the basement, and a moment later, he hears the lock click shut behind him. He's trapped. And sometimes the discovery is just, it's so shocking, there's nothing else to say. There's the story about two 12-year-old kids exploring an abandoned house. They see what they think is just a fake Halloween prop in a window. They pick it up, and it starts leaking blood. And that's when they realize it was a real human head. See, that's the ultimate twist. This is what flips everything on its head. The danger isn't trying to get in. It was in the house with them the entire time. The boys heard creaking from upstairs, like someone was walking around. It's just like the man locked in the basement who finds those horrible Polaroid photos of another victim. The danger isn't coming for you. You're already in the trap. All right, we've dealt with human monsters. But our final theme, this one goes to a place where the normal rules of reality just completely break down. This is the paranormal, where the floor falls out from under you and you're left with absolutely nothing to hold on to. And there's actually a great psychological term for this, the uncanny.
It's not about something just being weird or mysterious. It's about something that should be familiar, something normal, but it's wrong, it's twisted, and that distortion of the known is what creates this deep, creeping sense of dread. And boy, do these stories nail this feeling. A little boy hears his mom calling his name from the dark basement, but he knows she's upstairs. A babysitter sees a toy turn on all by itself, right where the kid's imaginary friend Agnes is supposed to be. These moments take the safest things in our world, a mother's voice, a child's imagination, and they poison them. So when you put it all together, you see these true stories aren't just random. They are incredibly effective because they are laser focused on our deepest, most primal fears. The fear of being hunted, the fear of being tricked by a predator, the fear of being trapped, and maybe the worst of all, the fear of losing our grip on reality itself. So if there is one single lesson to pull from all of these horrifying narratives, it is this: trust your instincts. The teen who felt like he was being followed, the woman who saw other men hiding in that van, that little voice in your head, that feeling that something is just deeply wrong, that isn't paranoia. That's your brain trying to save your life. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most unsettling thought of all. Every single one of these stories claims to be true, and that's what makes them so powerful. They suggest that the barrier between our safe, normal world and this kind of horror is terrifyingly thin. So, what will you hear in the dark tonight?